What's up? Of course, it's me, your boy, Richie Rich, at Consumer Prime Support, shoot another awesome video, cause that's what we do. Man, what's up? Alright, we appreciate you guys' support, and if it's your first time here, welcome, glad to have you. Alright, so what we do at Consumer Prime Support is that we review appliances. So if you're in need of a new appliance because you want to upgrade, or the old appliance that you have is no longer working and you need a new one, we review appliances and give our overall grade to let you know what's the best appliance on the market. Alright, so today we're going to introduce to you guys a Whirlpool 5.8 cubic feet smart sliding gas range with easy to lift hinge, right? That is cast iron grates. Alright, so this particular unit has a lot of functions and a lot of features. You're talking about something that's extremely fully loaded, man. It has touchscreen controls that you communicate with by hitting the bake, broil, convection, self-clean, whatever it is that you got to do, you communicate with this device using the touchscreen. It also has voice control with compatible voice enabled devices. Man, you have your Google Assist or Alexa. If you want to communicate with this oven, you can use those devices. It also has a remote start, so you can preheat the oven remotely from your smartphone or your smart device. It has scan to cook technology. Man, you're talking about, it says get the right setting every time. Scan a frozen food barcode with a smartphone or tablet and send recommended or customized cooking instructions straight to your oven. Man, it also has a Yumly guided cooking. We're going to discuss that as well. It has frozen bake technology. It says skip preheating and cook frozen favorites like pizza. Who don't like pizza, man? Pizza is good. In fewer steps with pre-programmed settings. Awesome there. True convection cooking. It's a convection oven as well, so you have that you can use. It is fingerprint resistant. All right, so we loving the technology, loving the design of it. As far as this oven, like I stated before, man, fully loaded, man, so you're getting a lot. So we're gonna go into the lab, dissect this unit, and let you know exactly our overall grade, and let you know what we think of the joint, and let you know what we think by grading the appliance and checking to see if it's a good appliance to purchase. All right, and if it's something that we deem as though it's something to recommend, we'll let you guys know that we'll recommend it as well. All right, so you already know what time it is, man. It's me, your boy, Richie Rich, at Consumer Prime Support. You already know what time it is, man. You help me, I help you, we both help each other. Till next time, it's me, your boy, and I'm out. Peace. Enjoy the music. Gotta let you know, baby.
I just wanna tell you that. No. Yeah. All of my friends say, girl, you better take care. Cause that man is trouble, you best beware. And though deep down, I know I might be headed for teardrops. Now that you got me started, I just can't stop. No. Cause I love you, baby. I can't let you go, baby. I gotta tell you that I've been looking for love so true. When I was down and out, along came you. Though you might be a liar and a cheat too, I just can't quit you now, cause I love you. Yes, I do. I can't let you go, baby. I can't let you go, baby. Cause I love you, I love you, I love you. No. Yeah. that man is trouble, you best beware. And though deep down I know I might be headed for teardrops, now that you got me started, I just can't stop. No, no. 'Cause I love you, baby. I can't let you go, baby. I gotta tell you that I won't. I've been looking for love so true. When I was down and out, along came you. Though you might be a liar and a cheat too, I just can't quit you now 'cause I love you. Yes, I do. I can't let you go, baby. I can't let you go, baby. 'Cause I love you, I love you, I love you. No, 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 no.
So I'm hoping that you guys enjoyed the intro. Alright, so right now we're going to focus on the functions and the features. Alright, so let's dive into that with your boy. Let's get it and let's get it done. Alright, so we're going to start off this video, man, by looking at, of course, we're facing the Whirlpool logo. Alright, and that's where we are right now. This is a Whirlpool range, of course, and it's a gas range, sliding range, stainless steel model. Right now we're looking at the door handle. One thing that we liked about the door handle, in comparison to the traditional one, it's a lot more sturdier. Back in the day they had plastic door handles that's not as sturdy. The screws wasn't long enough, so when you try to open the door over time, it would separate itself, and then of course the glass would probably break because the door would just slam shut or damage any components as far as the door. But like I said, on this particular model, man, I really like how it looks. It's extremely sturdy. All right, so we're gonna dive into opening up the door. So we have right in front of us right now the convection fan. All right, so we're gonna dive into the convection portion of this video so we know exactly what we are getting ourselves into. All right, so let's see what it says about convection cooking. So I'm hoping that you guys can see that. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more. It says in a convection oven, the fan circulates hot air continually, distributes heat more evenly than the natural movement of an air in a standard thermal oven. This movement of hot air helps maintain a consistent temperature throughout the oven, cooking foods more evenly, crisping surfaces while sealing in moisture and yielding crustier breads. So a couple things that we can see is giving us an image on how it would look as far as the circulation in the fan, and it's also going to go in a little bit more detail to let us know what parts of the oven comes on while you're in the convection mode. So it says during the convection, baking or roasting, so it goes for either one of those. The bake, broil, and convection elements cycle on and off in intervals while the fan circulates the hot air. During the convection broiling, the broil and convection elements cycle on and off. It says if the oven door is open during convection cooking, the fan will turn off immediately. It will come back on when the oven door is closed. All right, so that's one of the benefits that we can see there as well, something that we really like when we're dealing with this particular oven. All right, so it also says if the oven door is open during the convection cooking and fan, the fan will turn off immediately. It will come back on when the oven door is closed. It says with convection cooking, most foods can be cooked at a lower temperature. So you want to keep that in mind when you're cooking, that it can be lowered when you're doing a convection, because it's a lot faster because of the circulation of the air while the broiler is on or the bake element is on, the bake is on as well. All right, it says and or a shorter cooking time than in a standard thermal oven. Use the following chart as a guide. So it's instructing you how to really do it when you're doing a convection bake. As far as the convection mode, you have convection bake, convection roast, convection broil, and it says time/temperature guidelines. It says 25 degrees Fahrenheit, lower temperature, possible shortened cooking time. That's for the convection bake. For the convection roast, it says cooking time shortened by up to 30%. convection broil. It says shorten cooking time. All right, so it also gives you different options as far as the convection options and multiple rack baking or cookies or biscuits, stuff like that. Convection roast, whole chicken, turkey, vegetable, and then of course broil. You have the thicker cuts or uneven shaped pieces of meat. All right, so now we're gonna let the video roll for a little bit so we can dive into this joint as well. All right, so we're looking here underneath. This is your bake igniter. So this is what allows your oven to bake when you're trying to bake your food. All right, so we're gonna dive into this a little bit just to get some more information as far as baking. All right, so we are here when it's talking about preheating. And one of the things that customers will always used to ask, how long should it take for my oven to preheat? And the owner's manual is going to give you precise instructions so that you'll be able to know exactly how long it should take. All right, you want to probably give it a leeway about an extra 5 minutes. So if it says 12 to 15, I would say about 17 to 20 just in case. All right, but you want to keep that in mind. All right, so it says preheating, and this is for baking and roasting. It says when beginning a bake or convection bake cycle, the oven will preheat after start is pressed. The oven will take approximately 12 to 15 minutes to reach 350 degrees Fahrenheit. With all of the oven racks provided with the oven inside the oven cavity, higher temperatures will take longer to preheat. The preheat cycle rapidly increases the oven temperature. The actual oven temperature will go above your set temperature to offset the heat loss when your oven door is open to insert food. This ensures that when you place your food in the oven will begin at the proper temperature. Insert your food when the preheat tone sounds. Do not open the door during preheat before the tone sounds. And I like how they really go into details and give you a lot more information like they used to give you back in the day. Like I said, back in the day, this is information that we wish we had, because they never gave you exactly how long it should take you for your oven to get to about 350 degrees. All right, so we love that. It's between 12 to 15 minutes. Again, you don't have to rush it, but just allow it to preheat a little bit longer so that the cavity or the inside of the oven can heat up a lot better as well. All right, so we really like that. And your oven cycles on and off. So like it stated in here, even though it's set for 350, initially it's going to get above that, and it also is going to get below that as it cycles on and off, just like your air conditioner unit in your home shuts on and off. Your oven cycles on and off and do the same exact thing, but it should average the temperature that you set it for at 350, even though it's cycling on and off. So you get a high temperature and a low temperature, you add the two together, and of course you divide it, and that will give you your average temperature. All right, so that's cool information there. All right, rapid preheat. It says rapid preheat can be used to shorten the preheating time. Only one standard flat oven rack should be in the oven during rapid preheat. Extra racks should be removed prior to starting rapid preheat. The preheating cycle should be completed before placing food in the oven. It says when the rapid preheat cycle is completed, the oven starts a normal bake cycle. Important: rapid preheat should be used only for one rack baking. All right, so you want to keep that in mind as well. Oven temperature, it says while in use, the oven elements will cycle on and off as needed to maintain a consistent temperature, but they may run slightly hot or cool at any point in time due to the cycling. Opening the oven door while in use will release the hot air and cool the oven, which could impact the cooking time and performance. It is recommended to use the oven light to monitor cooking process. Again, every time you open the door, it's losing temperature. All right, so you want to make sure just use the light just so you'll be able to check the food, so you know what's going on, so you don't have to keep opening the door. It says on models with convection, the convection fan may run in a non-convection bake mode to improve oven performance. So you want to keep that in mind as well. Sometimes you might hear the fan even though you have not selected convection. As you can see on some models, it do run that way as well. So just keep that in mind. All right, so we can let this video roll, man. So loving what they're giving you, all the information right now. You have your rack positions. All right, so we got convection cooking. We just did that. Let me slide in here and try to get some of this rack position real quick. All right, so this is your oven rack position. Let me slide into that. Position racks and bakeware. Important. It says to avoid damage to the porcelain finish, do not place food on bakeware directly on the oven door or bottom. It says bakeware to cook food evenly. Hot air must be able to circulate to allow 2-inch or 5 centimeters of space around the bakeware and oven walls. Make sure that no bakeware piece is directly over another. All right, of course, on this particular one, you have 7 rack positions. So let's talk about the racks. It says rack position. It says position racks before turning on the oven. Do not position racks with bakeware on them. Make sure racks are level. It says to position a rack, pull it out to the stop position, raise the front edge, and then lift out. All right, so that's it there. So it also gives you the chart, and this is what we like getting into when we're dealing with the chart. It allows you to understand what's best to cook on what rack level you have it on. All right, so the illustration, we can see it right here. I'm zooming in a little bit more so you guys can see that as well. It says flat rack position. So if you're using position number 7, that's for broiling, searing meats, hamburgers, and steak. For number 6, you got broiled meats, poultry. You have 3 or 4, most baked goods, casseroles, and frozen foods. And then you have number 2, roasted meats, and number 1, large roast or poultry. All right, it says for hamburgers, patties, that's at the end of this here, to have a well seared exterior and a rare interior, use a flat rack in it says in rack position 7. Preheat the oven for 5 minutes. Slide 1 should cook for approximately 4 to 5 minutes. Slide 2 should cook for approximately 4. Side 1, side 2 should cook for approximately 4.5 to 5.5 minutes. Expect a moderate degree of smoke when broiling. All right, so that's the benefit of cooking in the rack positions. And they also give you examples, man. This is what I love when the owner's manual, when you're breaking it down, it gives you the examples that you need so that you can actually see it, right? So it has different racks. This is the picture here. It shows you, again, it says end of rack in position 3 or food in position 2. You have that there inside of the oven. You also have baking goods and how to set it up with multiple racks, cooking multiple things. So you can see that as well. I don't have to get into that. You can pause it. You can look at it. That's great there. We're going to also allow you to pause it and look at it and download the owner's manual. It's going to be in the description box as well. All right, so we're going to let this video rock. All right, so we talked about the rack positions, man, and that's good there, so you know that information. All right, so now we got the broiler up top. All right, so now we're dealing with the broiler. Let's see. All right, so that's the broiler here. All right. It says, let's zoom in into the broiler real quick. That's the most it could go. All right, now there you go. All right. It says, when broiling, preheat the oven for 5 minutes before putting food in, unless recommended otherwise in the recipe. Position food or grid in a broiler pan and then place it in the center of the oven rack. Important, close the door to ensure proper broiling temperature. It says changing the temperature when broiling allows more precise control when cooking. The lower the broil setting is, the slower the cooking. Thicker cuts and uneven shaped pieces of meat, fish, and poultry may cook better at lower broil settings. It says use rack 6 or 7 for broiling. Refer to the position racks and bakeware section for more information. On the lower settings, the broil element will cycle on and off to maintain the proper temperature. For best results, use a broil pan and grid. It is designed to drain juices and help avoid spotter and smoke. If you would like to purchase a broiler pan, one would be in your order. Okay, blah, blah, blah. All right, so that's cool there. All right, so let's dive into this video and let's this joint roll and see what else we got. So you got your light to the right. You also have your sensor in here as well, as far as your oven sensor. It's in the back, so I'm trying to get back to that so you can see that. Right there in the back, you can see the oven sensor. All right, so we're gonna let this roll. Let this go, let this roll. All right. So this is just a cavity of how everything is. And you have your door gasket, of course. I didn't want to miss that. The door gasket around the oven, again, don't clean that. It's fine, leave it alone. There's nothing wrong with it. Just let it sit, because you can damage it by constantly keep cleaning it. Your oven glass door, this is something that you can clean for yourself as well. Really big door, so you don't have to open the door all the time. You can actually see it and turn the light on if you need to see inside the oven. All right. Your broiler position. This is a way that you can check your door hinges. If your oven is not able or capable of sitting in this position, there might be issues with your door hinge, because typically it's gonna slam, and you can close your door, hit your fingers on there, or if you have a child, they can extremely get hurt. They can get extremely hurt by the door as well. So you want to keep that in mind. All right. So cool. Let's rock. Let's get into this joint. All right. So you have your warmer drawer or storage drawer, depending on whatever it is that you want to call it and how you want to put stuff in there. Normally you put pots in there, but it's not as big as the traditional one, because again, you got to compensate for the size of the oven. So the warmer drawer is you're gonna lose some drawer with that. All right, so that's what you get. So now we done close the door, and we're gonna go inside the actual control. One of the things I like with the control panel, it's touchscreen, it's glass, so you want to be super careful. It's like having a smartphone. You want to be careful what you clean it with, because you can damage it, because you don't want to short it out either, because it's an electronic component. All right, so we can stop it there so that we can see the front of this thing, man, and dive into what we have here. All right, so give me a second as I dive into, I think I passed the panel already. All right, so here we go. Panels, feature guide. Of course, you have, right? You have your power button up top. You have your home button. You have your heart, which is your favorites. You have your light. You have your settings, which is the tools that looks like the gears. And that's how you control or operate the actual touch screen or touchpad when using and select your oven. All right, so I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. Hopefully you guys can see that, and zoom in a little bit more. You know, if you want to really read that stuff, is up to you right there. All right, so, and your it says oven cancel, keep stops and oven function except the clock, timer, and control lock. All right, so you can read that as well. All right, so we're gonna let this video play and let this roll and see what we come up with initially. So on this particular oven, again, it's a smart appliance. You have a couple things that you can choose from, where it says try the product and view product videos. All right, so it has videos that's incorporated inside of the appliance to help you learn how to use the appliance. All right, so that's one of the things and benefits that we love when we're dealing with this particular appliance. Again, you have here, you have a guided tour or experience of your own. You have cooking methods, you have assistant cooking as well, you have your favorites that we talked about as well. So some of these cycles is all up to you on what it is that you want to do, how you want to use it. That's going to best benefit you. All right, so let's rock with this joint and see what else we got. Your manual cooking is just your traditional cooking, right? So you can do cooking modes, hit that. You can see you have different cooking modes you can choose from. You have your bake, convection broil, and then you have your broiler as well. From looking at the owner's manual, you have a lot more functions and features like that as well. All right, so that's what we initially start off with. You can see bake, broil, convection bake, convection broil, roast. You have the keep warm, you have the rapid, you have your start time, cook time as well. So you have a lot of functions and features on this particular oven. And when you hit 350, I love the display that you can slide it across. That's like your iPhone or your smartphone. And then it gives you a little image like you can see there when you're trying to preheat. I love that little image where it says preheat and you see the flames and everything. You see the set time cook. I like that function and I really like that feature on this particular unit. All right, so we're gonna rock with that and let it rock and let it roll. So that's good there. All right. So now you have assistant cooking. Your oven assists you, right? So let's see what it's about. You have your frozen. So let's get into the assistant cooking. All right. So I'm gonna zoom into that. Hope you guys can see that as well. It says to reduce cooking preparation steps, the oven features frozen bake technology that skips the preheat for some frozen food categories. These includes pizza, lasagna, nuggets, fries, pies, and meal. Food should go in the oven immediately. Scroll through the assisted cooking menu until the desired food selection is reached. Follow the prompts on the screen to customize the settings for assistant cooking. All right, so that's what the assistant cooking is all about. Help you to be able to cook food that's already frozen. There's only particular food. You just slide it in and select whatever it is you're cooking, and you should be absolutely fine with that as well. One of the things that we can focus on, since we're here looking at the clock, you can see the favorites. It says the favorite feature stores the oven mode and temperature for your favorite recipe. So you can store your favorite recipes on the on your control board or inside your oven, right? On the software, however you want to look at it, like it's on your phone. It says select set for favorites and suggestions may be automatically shown on the home screen based on your meal times. All right, to save a recipe, select the favorites keypad and follow the prompts on the screen to customize your favorites. Add an image or name to the favorites to customize it to your preferences. All right, so that's cool there. No problem, we love that. Let's see what else we can find as we're diving into this joint, man. And Mike goes into the tools. All right, so this is the tool settings. We can do all that right here as we're talking about it now, because I just don't want to miss it. So in your tool settings, if it allows me to zoom in, it'd be great. Thank you. It says the tools keypad allows you access to functions and customization options for your oven. These tools allow you to set the cook change, to set the clock, change the oven temperature between Fahrenheit and Celsius, turn the audible signals and prompts on and off, adjust the oven calibration or change the language, and more. All right, so you have all these on inside your tool settings. You have remote enable. All right, so we already talked about, it says select remote enable to enable the ability to utilize the Whirlpool app. Remote enable turns off when the door is open. It needs to be re-enabled each time it is going to be used. All right, so you have that there. You have your kitchen timer. You have your light. You have self-clean, right? You have a mute. Select mute to mute or unmute the oven sounds. You have your control lock. The control lock locks the control panel keypads to avoid unintended use of the oven. Loving that. It says set before the power failure occurs. The control lock keypad will remain set after a power failure. When the control is locked, only the oven power tools and oven light keypads will function. So you want to keep that in mind when you're locking the door, and learn how to lock it and unlock it as well. So you can see that, you can pause it. Loving that on this particular oven. All right, so that's cool. Let's dive into that, see what else we have here. All right, so I'm loving the preset, loving everything else that you got with the oven, man. And like I said, this oven voice command, you can connect it with your now Whirlpool is integrated with Amazon Alexa. You can connect your Alexa to your stove. Yo, that is freaking crazy. I love it. All right, so we're gonna let that rock. You got lunch favorites, right? Let me go back to the lunch favorites real quick. Reheat, grill, right? Let's see what else we got over there. Bake and all that stuff. You can reheat lunch favorites, dinner favorites. You can store that stuff. That's what we talked about as far as your favorites, and that's for the frozen stuff. You see that in pizza as well. So it's a lot of things in the book. Like I said, I love it how smart it is. It is able to teach you how to really use it and optimize your oven. All right, that's the benefit of getting these smart appliances. Again, you want to keep in mind, just because you can, it doesn't mean that you should, because you got to factor in identity theft. You got to look at that type of stuff, man. So we love that. So now we're going to focus on the burners, right? So when we're talking about the burners, we're looking at the burner knobs, right? So this is the top portion of the oven. When we're looking at the burner knobs, man, let me see. It doesn't say anything about the knobs at all. But we'll get into all the stuff here when we're looking at the oven. All right, so this is the burner knob that you allow. You can see the flame button there. Hopefully you guys can see that. Allows you to ignite it and turn it. When you're turning the knobs, you can see high, medium, low. All right, and that's, if you look at the symbol right in the front, that's telling you from the way that the oven is designed. Let's get this little chart, right? Let's zoom in into the chart right here so you can see that real quick. All right, so this is basically how the oven is set up. You have your A, which is your small, B, which is your extra large, C is the middle, D is your medium, and then you have E, which is work. All right, so you want to keep that in mind. If you can see the little symbol, I'm turning on the left rear. So that's the one that's in the back, and that is A. So if I'm facing your oven, this is your left, and this is my right. Of course, you got the rear, you have your front, then you have your center. All right, so that's how we look at it when we're looking at the oven. All right, so this is, that looks like your B, right? Which is your extra large, but that looks kind of small, but maybe because it's the video that I'm taking. Then you have your small. This is mostly like for simmer. All right, so that's one of the things that we like there as well. All right, so that's cool. Then I have, if we look at it now, the same thing, turning the knob, I'm in the right front, which is I'm turning the E. All right, so that's the E portion of it. And that's how you turn it. And you also want to make sure before when you're turning your oven on, I'm turning on the burners up top, turn it to the light. Let it ignite first, then you turn it to the medium or low or keep it on high. You don't want to just continuously keep turning it, because if it doesn't ignite right away, gas is fuming out, and when the gas fumes out and it doesn't light right away, unfortunately you're going to get a huge bang because all that gas comes out. As soon as you turn the oven to that knob, gas is coming out. All right, so you want to keep that in mind as well. All right, so let's look at D, and then of course we got, this is the right side burner, and then you have your E here as well. All right, and that's the work. All right, so we'll figure out why they call it the work if they have that in the owner's manual. Then of course we're turning the center burner here, like you can see there, and we're going to take a full picture of this joint so that you can see all the burners, and we're going to describe them and take that apart as well. All right, so we already discussed the chart that you can see here, so you know what burners which burners which. All right, let's see. Surface burners. So let's get some instructions on that. It says, do not obstruct the flow of combustion and ventilation air around the burner grate edges. Cap burner. Always keep the burner cap in place when using a surface burner. A clean burner cap will help avoid poor ignition. And it says uneven flames. Let me make sure this is right. Uneven flames. It says always clean the burner cap after it's spilled over, and routinely remove and clean the caps according to the general cleaning section. So we're going to show you the cap inside this video, and you want to make sure you put the right cap on the right burner. If you put a small cap on a large burner, it's not going to ignite properly. And when it do, it's gonna be all over the place because it's just not correct. So keep that in mind. Note, each round burner base is marked with a letter indicating the burner size. We already discussed that. Alignment. Be sure to align the gas tube opening in the burner base with the orifice holder on the cooktop and the igniter electrode with the notch in the burner base. Each round burner base is marked with a letter indicating the burner size. All right, so that's what we love there as well. So we're just gonna keep this moving, keep this going. All right, so one of the things I really wanted to focus on here is the gas tube opening. It says gas must flow freely, and that's one of the things you gotta recognize. Gas must flow freely through the gas tube opening, right? For the burner to light properly. Keep this area free from soil and do not allow spills, food, cleaning agents, or any other material to enter the gas tube opening. Keep spillovers out of the gas tube opening by always using a burner cap. All right, this is what I'm talking about when it's not in the right position. You got flames just coming out all over the place like that, or sometimes it doesn't light. If it doesn't light around the whole entire burner, gas is coming out, and it allows you to smell gas. It has to light around it, so you might want to turn it off, adjust the burners a little bit, and try to relight it, because you want some of the fumes and the gas to go away. All right. So here it says burner ports. Check burner flames occasionally for proper size and shape as shown in the previous illustration. A good flame is blue in color. All right, so you want to pay attention to that. A good flame is what? Blue in color, not yellow. All right, keep this area free from soil and do not allow spills, food, cleaning agents, or any other materials to enter the burner ports. All right, so when you're cleaning the burner, you want to be careful with the chemicals. Gas does not like mixing properly, and then you have the air with different chemicals, especially if they're flammable. You want to be careful when you're cleaning this stuff off, man. They have proper cleaning instructions in the owner's manual. We're going to download that to the description so you can look at it as well. All right, and it's telling you how to clean it. Before cleaning, make sure all controls are on and cooktop is cool. Do not use oven cleaners, bleach, or rust removers. Do not wash in the dishwasher. All right, cool. So it's telling you that as well. So you can pause that, read that, look at that. That's where we are with that. All right. So we already talked about the different sizes. I'm gonna zoom into this portion of the video real quick because we're still talking about the cooktop. Each burner round cap is marked with a letter. We already talked about that, so that you can see that as well. You have A and you have B. Let me pull this up right here. Replace the burner cap, making sure it's the proper alignment with the burner base. The burner cap should not rock or wobble when properly aligned. So we discussed it a lot. The bottom of the small and medium caps are different. Do not put the wrong size burner cap on the burner base. I already discussed that with you guys as well. All right, so you can see that with the burner base. You have your grates, right? So let's dive into that. It says the grates must be properly positioned before cooking. In the proper position, the grates should be flush and leveled. Improper installation of the grates may result in chipping or scratching off the cooktop. To ensure proper position, align bumpers on grate bottom with the indentations in the cooktop. All right, so that's how you do that there. Recommended use: small, medium, work, or extra large. Most powerful. That's the powerful one. For large cookware, most powerful burner, what says walk. For large cookware, multiple burner purpose, which is the medium one. Then the smallest for low heat cooking or melting chocolate or butter. All right, so like I said, I love the detail of the owner's manual that it gives you as far as what's going on inside this oven, man, so that you be able to use it properly. All right. And again, all this is going to be in the owner's manual as well, so I just wanted to zoom out a little bit so that we can move forward from the burners. All right, it has the grates. So in here we have the cast iron grates, man. Of course, the price for that, check out the price video so that you can see that as well. We go over the price if you need new grates. That's extremely important. They're really heavy too, and they cost a lot. That's the burner cap. All right, so you want to make sure that's positioned properly. And looking down inside the orifice, that's where the gas comes through, the little gold tube that you see there. The gas shoot upward and into the cap, through the cap. Right now we have the vent. All right, before we jump to the vent, let's look at the potware, because I want to do this because we gotta learn how to really check our pots out. Because again, when you get new stove and new appliances, you do not get new cookware. All right, most people do not. It says do not leave empty cookware on a hot surface cooking area, element, or surface burner. Ideal cookware should have a flat bottom, straight sides, and a well-fitted lid, and the material should be of medium to heavy thickness. Rough finishes may scratch the cooktop or corals. All right, so we discussed that as well. So when you're using it, this is for measuring it. We did this on the electric stove for a Frigidaire oven. This is basically how you would check it. All right, and it's telling you exactly what is best. Cast iron, which one conducts better heat. Again, you want to make sure that your pots is not warped. Use a ruler. All right, so that's what it got there, and you can pause and look at the chart and see what's recommended by the owner's manual. So let's look at it. All right, so I want you guys to see that. If you want to pause that, I'll give you enough time to do that as well. All right, characterization of the different pots depending on what you're using. All right, so let's read what it says. Is use flat bottom cookware for best cooking results and energy efficiency. The cookware should be about the same size as the cooking area outlined on the cooktop or the coral element. Cookware should not extend more than a half inch or 13 millimeters beyond the surface cooking area or element. All right, so that's it right there. Home canning. It says when canning for long periods, alternate the use of surface burners between batches. This allowed time for the most recently used areas to cool. All right, so that's cool there. All right, so I like it. Like I said, I love the information that you're getting. It's extremely detailed in the owner's manual. It needs to be to really instruct people how to really use their appliances, stuff like that. You talked about the vent a little bit, right? Vent a little bit. It says the oven release hot air and moisture from the oven, and should not be blocked or covered. Blocking or covering the oven vent will cause poor air circulation, affecting the cooking and cleaning results. Do not set plastic, paper, or other items that could melt or burn near the oven vent. All right, so you want to keep that in mind with the oven vent. So that's pretty cool there. Frozen bake technology, we already did that. All right, so we talked about the frozen bake, but if you want to look at it, you can have that. You can take a picture. I mean, you can pause the video and read it and take your time to see it. All right, so that's cool. Loving that joint. Let's the video rock. All right, so that's the whole entire oven, man. Looking at it, the Whirlpool joint. We already discussed the price. I just want to make sure I go over Accu cleaning, because I never went over the clean functions on this joint. So let's dive into the AquaLift self-cleaning technology. It says the AquaLift technology is an innovative cleaning solution that utilizes heat and water to release bake on spills from the oven in less than 1 hour. This new cleaning technology is a low heat, odor-free alternative to traditional self-cleaning options. Allow the oven to cool to room temperature before using the clean cycle. If your oven cavity is above 200 degrees Fahrenheit or 93 degrees Celsius, oven cooling will appear in the display, and the clean cycle will not be activated until the oven cavity cools down. The clean cycle will not be activated until the oven cycle cools down. All right, so it's giving you an example on how to do it, what to do to clean. Remove all rags and accessories from the oven cavity and wipe excess soil. Use a plastic scraper to easily remove soils. All right, it says pour 1 3/4 cups, which is 14 ounces, or distilled or filtered water onto the bottom of the empty oven and close the oven door. So this is all nothing but a steam clean function. That's just basically all it is. So it has your steam clean function. It has importance. Do not use chemicals or other additives with water. Do not open the oven door using the clean cycle. The water on the oven door is hot. All right, bam. So giving you proper instructions. Allow 40 minutes for cleaning and cool down. All right, and it's only for like an hour, so it's not like it's something long. So this is probably like for real light stuff, just like any other steam clean function or cycle. All right, so like I said before, it gives you how to clean the different components, what to use on it, what not to use on some models. So you can look into that inside the owner's manual, man. We are done. We are out of here as far as the functions and the features to the Whirlpool gas range, man. You already know what time it is. It's me, your boy, and we're gonna dive into the rest of this video, man, as we go into the lab, man, and check this joint out. Peace. All right, so for this portion of the video, we're gonna talk about the warranty. The manufacturer warranty for this Whirlpool range. All right, so we're gonna dive into that real quick. So I normally go to a familiar site that we always use at time. We're gonna go into the Home Depot website. All right, so let's look at this joint real quick. It says Whirlpool Major Appliance Limited Warranty. All right, it says if you need service before contacting us, arrange service. Please determine whether your product requires repair. Some questions can be addressed without service. All right, so you can contact Whirlpool just to make sure there's an issue with the appliance, and of course, if it's under a manufacturer warranty, they will cover it to a certain degree. So you want to make sure you know what is covered and what's not, and you can ask the representative if this might be covered so that they won't charge you for coming out. All right, so let's look at this joint real quick. So according to this, we are looking at a 1-year manufacturer warranty, parts and labor. All right, so outside of that, that's it. As they say, that's all, folks. Yo, they got it in all different languages, but I'm sure it's all saying the same exact thing. Let's go back to English. 1-year manufacturer warranty, parts and labor. It says for 1 year from the date of purchase, when this major appliance is installed, operated, and maintained according to the instructions attached to or furnished with the product, Whirlpool Corporation or Whirlpool Canada LP Hereafter, Whirlpool would pay for factory-specified replacement parts and repair labor to correct defects in materials or workmanship that existed with this major appliance was purchased, or at its sole discretion replace the product. In the event of product replacement, your appliance will be warranted for the remaining term of the original unit's warranty period. All right, so we read it a lot when we're talking about the manufacturer warranty. And it says your sole and exclusive remedy under this limited warranty shall be product repair as provided herein. Service must be provided by a Whirlpool designated service company. That's one. Whirlpool will only send their people out. They're not going to send nobody else. This limited warranty is valid only in the United States or Canada and applies only when the major appliance is used in the country in which it was purchased. This limited warranty is effective from the date of original consumer purchase. Proof of original purchase date is required to obtain service under this limited warranty. All right, so you want to make sure, of course, when you get a new appliance, you want to there's a card or a registration card they normally give you. You can scan it, you can email, you can mail it off, just so that Whirlpool know that you got a brand new appliance, so they'll have you in a system so there's no issues with stating that you have a 1-year manufacturer warranty if you have issues with it. All right, so on this, it also shows you what's covered and what is not covered. All right, so I'm gonna let that sit there so you have the time to go over it so you can read it. But as you can see, man, that is it as far as the manufacturer warranty. A 1-year manufacturer warranty on this unit, man. That is it. That's all you're getting. So till then, that's all, folks. We are out of here, man. Peace. That was a quick one. All right, so this portion of the video, we're gonna talk about price. How much it's gonna cost you. It might cost you a little, might cost you a lot. Either way, it's gonna cost you. All right, so for this particular video, we're on the Whirlpool website just to dive into the price. So for the 5.8 cubic feet smart sliding gas range with easy to lift hinge cast iron grates, the model number is also located on the video as well. Right now, it's on sale on the Whirlpool website for $19.79. This is the Fingerprint Resistant black stainless steel. MSRP was $2,199. So right now they're stating that you're saving about 10%. But you can do it with a payment plan of $124 a month with a firm and your rate as low as 0% APR. They do have additional terms that you can actually log into, because we're going to put this link into the description box of the video. But outside of that, right now it's saying on the Whirlpool website is temporarily out of stock anyway. But like I said, we got to give you this information so you can have an idea how much it costs, because it's going to cost you some bread, man. This joint is expensive. It's fully loaded, so it's going to cost you some money. So let's go into the standard stainless steel to see what that is if prices change. The standard is a fingerprint resistant stainless steel as well. So this is your traditional stainless steel. That's $2,900. $2,900. I can't get it out, man. $2,099. That's it. All right. So the price changed a little bit. This one is not on sale, and of course this is temporarily out of stock. And the payment plan, if you do decide to do that, again, this decision is up to you. It's $132. All right, so that's cool there. And again, it's temporarily out of stock. So let's focus on the black. The black is $2,099 for your traditional black. They do not have a payment plan for this one. I'm not sure why and what changed from then to now, but it's temporarily out of stock. All right, so that's your decision to make. So let's go to the white. The white is also $2,099. All right, so from just looking at the Whirlpool website, man, you're gonna be spending at least $2 grand for this particular unit to purchase it. But of course, you always want to shop around so that you make the best decision for you. We're gonna give you a couple options, and you also want to keep in mind when we shoot these videos, price is subject to change. All right. Because 1 minute they might have a sale for an extended period of time, then after that, then things might change and it might go back up to the original price that it was. All right, so you want to make sure that you shop around, even though we're giving you this information, but keep that in mind. All right, let's go to Best Buy. So Best Buy have it cheaper. They have it on sale for $1889.99. So you're saving $210. It was originally $2099.99. But their payment plan is a little bit cheaper, $78.75 per month for the next 24 months. And of course, they have an open box. If you look here in my local area, let me zoom in on that. It's $1,171.99. Man, that's a really good price for open box. So when you see stuff like this, man, especially if you like it, you can jump on it, man. Jump on that joint, because you just never know. All right, so that's cool there. So again, price is subject to change, so don't forget that. All right, let me see if they got the black stainless steel. That's not an open box anywhere, but it's still $1889.99. That's where that is. Of course, $78.75 for the payment plan if you decide to do that. Actually, that's not it. Why do they keep doing that? They just keep doing that. I didn't switch that thing over like that. I just don't understand. I knew I wasn't crazy, man. They keep doing this to me. All right, I want the gas one. Leave the gas one alone. All right, so when I switch over, that's the only one they have. So that's the problem that I had originally. All right, so that's the price, because they keep switching stuff over. So they only have the standard stainless steel. Then of course you can get payment plans, man. Especially if you're spending like $2,000 for an appliance, you might want to consider that. If you watch the warranty portion of the video, we'll tell you exactly what the manufacturer warranty is, but you might want to consider it depending on the value of how the parts, how consistently the parts go bad, how much it costs. So we'll work with you and tell you exactly what is the best decision in our opinion. All right, and of course you can make that opinion on your own. But yes, you can always consider some of these payment plans. You can ask the manufacturer if they have any payment plans, not payment plans, any extended warranties, my apologies. Or you can ask the local store that you purchased it from. All right, so let's go to Home Depot. So Home Depot ain't tripping. They like, look, it's $2,099. All right, so you do have a payment plan, which is $92 per month for the next 24 months. You can do that. And this is the black stainless steel oven that you see there too. I mean, like I said, it's really nice, man. It's a really nice oven. Some of the pictures that you can see there as well. So we're gonna go into that a little bit so that you guys can see that, the control, the video. Also, man, the video that we put out is the intro, man. Check that joint out, man. That joint is tight. All right, so let's look at the black stainless steel. We just looked at the black stainless steel, so now we're gonna look at the fingerprint resistant stainless steel. So this is the traditional stainless steel that comes with fingerprint resistant, which is good. I love it, because when you install new appliances or you're the customer using it, your fingers, man, you got to keep stainless steel clean. You got to buy those stainless steel cleaners, man, because the fingerprints is just all over it. All right, so this one is $2,099 for the stainless steel. You're looking at $88 per month suggested payments. All right, again, if you want an extended warranty, man, you could ask Home Depot, you could ask Lowe's, you can ask Best Buy if they have anything. But so that's cool there. All right, so let's check this out. All right, so this one is Lowe's. All right, Lowe's is consistent. You know, I mean, sometimes it's not, but it says this item is out of stock anyway. So it's about $2,099. If they had it, the payment plan would be $92 per month for the next 24 months, a special financing as well. All right, so from looking at this particular Whirlpool sliding range, man, you are paying some bucks for this joint. I would say just round it up to about $2,000, man. No matter what color you get, you're spending at least $2,000 on this unit. And we're gonna find out why is it so expensive, and is it a good value, is it a good buy? And if we feel as though it's not a good purchase, we'll let you know that information, and we'll try to gauge you and say, hey, if it's $2,000 and we suggest you should pay at least 17, no more than 17, we're gonna tell you that. All right, but again, this decision is all up to you. All right, so outside of that, we're gonna dive out into the next portion of the video, man, so that we can check this joint out, man. You already know what time it is, man. Consumer Appliance Report. Peace. All right, so this portion of the video, we're gonna talk about parts. Man, what if you don't have a manufacturer warranty? The unit has ran out. you didn't buy an extended warranty, or if you did, it's ran out. So now you didn't have this unit for about 5 to 10 years and it's starting to give problems. What are some of the common issues that normally goes bad? Or how much you're gonna pay if a service company comes out to dissect this appliance, all right? So we're gonna help you with both of those questions that you might have. All right, so right now, of course, we always start off with the Sears Parts Direct. That's one of the sites that we'd like to use. And of course, the model number that we have here is for the black stainless steel. All right, so we're gonna shop around for this parts. Let's dive into this joint real quick. So as you can see, different parts that's located inside this unit. So we're gonna start where it says door parts. We could rock with that one. So as far as the door, you can see there's multiple glass here. Glass, trim, door handle, hinges. Typically when you're dealing with these parts, the door handle can wear out because screws are inserted in them. So that can wear out as well. Glass can break from the heat inside the oven. I know the oven is rated to handle it, but there's times when the glass can break. Something can fall on it or it can just crack. All right, so you got to be careful with that. The door hinges wear out. All right, so the door doesn't close. If you watch the intro video, we always try to show you the boiler position. Typically, if your hinges are good, you can sit your oven door in the broiler position and it does not close. If it's slamming forward, then there's an issue with the hinge. It might be too much tension on the hinge, so you want to be careful. It will work, but you also want to be careful. And when you lay your door down flat, it's supposed to be on a 90-degree angle. All right, so when you lay it, it looks like 90 degrees. All right, so you want to look at that. If it's not 90 degrees, if it's lower than that or it's more than that, then of course you want to make sure you get those hinges replaced. All right, so let's dive into this joint, see what we got. All right, so we have the trims. That's number 11. Typical stuff, man, that normally goes bad. They break, it's plastic. You got the trim up top here, which is number 1. That's 4832. We're not going to talk about any screws. You can get screws from Home Depot or Lowe's, whatever. Number 4 is where it says the range oven door liner. That's 118.84. All right, so let's dive into that. You got your range oven inner glass. That's $62.70. So this is your inner glass that can crack, that can break. All right, so that's the price that you're gonna pay for that. All right, so let's rock. You have your door handle. Why did you do that? I thought I had it. Door handle. Anyway, let's rock. Your door handle. All right, let's see how much a door handle is. It is stainless steel, so it might cost you some bread. Door handle is $51.53. All right, not that expensive. All right, and if you have an issue, this is one of the tricks that you can do. If you're mechanically inclined and your oven door handle is broken or worn out, the screws won't be inserted, you can actually swap them out. So you can swap out the storage drawer handle and put that up where the oven door handle is, because you don't really need that much force for the storage door to be open. So you can swap them out, put the storage at the top and put the oven at the bottom. Bam, you're good. Save yourself the money, save yourself the time. All right, so that's something that you can do there as well. All right, so yeah, that's not gonna work that way. It's gonna keep going back to that, so I'm not gonna try that again. I thought it was me, but let's rock. Glass brackets. See, all these are just screws. Rail support. Range door hinge. That's number 10. Right, so you see number 10 there. Let me move this up so you can see that too. Number 10. Bring this down fully. All right, so you can see that. That's number 10 on the video there. Cool. Pretty straightforward. That's 6304. All right, so that's the door hinges. So that's not bad. Again, remember, replacing, we got to replace both door hinges. So if you want to replace that, it's $60-something a piece. So if we round that off to 70, that's $140 for the hinges. And then if you're going to factor in labor, you're looking at $150. So your total price is going to be at least $290. So I'll say roughly you're going to be between $290 and possibly $360. You got to factor in taxes. You got to factor in markup. If they go to $400, in my opinion, I think that's a little bit too high. See if you can actually ask them for a discount, or is that the best that they can actually do? Or you might have to find someone else to do it. Or if you're just in need of it and you got to do it, then you got to do what you got to do. All right, but I would say 400 is a little bit steep to replace some hinges because the part is $63.04. All right, that's why we say that. Nameplate, that's, you know, little stuff like that, blah blah blah. Let's see, you got your range oven outer panel. All right, so let's look at that. That's number 13. That's the whole entire front glass that you see there. That's $219.98. That's for the stainless steel. For the black stainless steel, that's $270. So again, looking at this price, looking at this right here, you're talking about $300 as far as parts, labor $150. You're looking at $450. All right, parts and labor. If you mark it up, $450. So you're gonna spend at least $500 and something. All right, so between $450. And I would probably say $450, between $450 and $550. That's probably the most, because I'm doing taxes. I'm marking up the price for the service company to come out, and of course their labor might be a little bit different. So this is just actually just giving you a quote or an estimate. All right, so it's not concrete. So I'll say roughly about $550. If you're spending that, I think that's a little bit too high, but again, it's up to you and how much you want to talk them down into a discount, because sometimes you're gonna have to. All right, so this is the portion of the door. That's the door parts. Warmer parts, man, again, I don't really want to go into that. Again, that's the handle, the same handle that's up top, because I made sure to check it. Right, the same handle, 51, 53, right? Depending on which one you have, the door handle is 75.19. All right, so that's one is 5A, one is 5, depending on if it's black or black stainless steel, whichever one you want. But not too many issues with the storage drawer. You normally put pot stuff and stuff at the bottom of there, man, so they don't really give any issues. All right, so we can actually move on from that. But let me see if it's the same part for the handle, because I think I did miss that a little bit, so I can go back. Yeah, so it's right, so it's 75.19. All right, so there they go right there, same price. So, all right, so I'm glad we was able to take care of that. So let's go into the good parts. Let's go into the cooktop parts. All right, so that's what that is there. All right, so the cooktop parts, man, let's get this thing going. So you have your burners, you have your grates. Man, grates are expensive, man. They be expensive. Let's find out, see how expensive that one is. You got the vent cover, you have your control panel, right? Your control board. Yeah, so you're gonna spend some money on this particular one right here. So let's dive into that real quick, see what we got. All right, so you got your instructions, scroll. All right, so actually I'm gonna just let the bottom scroll up to us so that we can still see the remaining portion of this right here. All right, so let's see what we got, young fella. All right, so that's number 2. So this is number 2. Looking at the price, right? If you get the burner surface, this is the left side, the burner head and the cap, everything comes together as one piece. Zoom into that real quick. This is everything that you're gonna get. That's $84.52 for all 3 of those. All right, that's not a bad price. Normally they're a little bit more expensive than that as well. That's pretty good, less than $100 if you decide that you want to get that joint done. Yeah, I still did it. Dang it. Alright, so we did number 2. Let's scroll up, see what else we got. Alright, so now we're talking about the control panel. That's number 3. So let me adjust this video a little bit so that we can see that. There we go. Focus on number 3. Right, that's number 3 right here. Everything that you see right here, that's the picture there. Man, you're looking at $634.78. Whew, for that control panel. Again, when you're dealing with technology, it's touchpad, everything that it does, yeah, you're gonna spend some money. So if we run this up to about $700 for the stainless steel one, man, then you gotta factor in labor. That's $150, so you're looking at about $850. You're gonna spend more than that, so I'll say between $850 and $950 how much you're gonna spend for this unit. All right, almost $1,000. For the black one, is cheaper. Black one is $483.20. I thought the black stainless steel would be a lot more expensive, but okay. So again, that's about $500, $150 labor, $650, between $650 and $750 right? Depending on the markup on the parts. But yeah, you're gonna spend more than 500 for this, and you're gonna spend more than 600 for this. Of course, well, it's already 600, so you're gonna spend at least 7 for this. All right, because the original price is 720, so we gotta factor that stuff in. All right, so these are on sale. The original price for the burner, you're looking at $100, right? So again, price is subject to change, markup. All right, so you gotta factor that stuff in. Let's see what else we got. The cooktop, that's number 5. Let's get into that real quick. All right, let's get into number 5. I'm trying to get into this. All right, so that's the lowest it'll go. All right, so number 5, you're looking at $223.93 for the whole entire cooktop. All right, that's not a bad price there. Could be worse. Range screw. All right, so your knobs that you need, that's number 7. That's $29.81. Depending on which ones you get, right? Which one you need. Another knob is $21.08, so it depends on the black or black stainless steel. All right, look at the Grates, number 8. Number 8, and that's just, I think that's just for one. Great kit. So you want to call in and ask. So sometimes it might be the assembly where you get both, or it just might just be that one, man. That joint is $169. That's what I'm saying. Grates are so high. You don't want to break those. This is something that you can order yourself, so there's no real labor for it. You're just gonna have to find the right price, right? Search online, go to different sites that you can actually get parts from. And when you do that, you want to also make sure that you you know, search around and get the best price, because you can, once they get delivered, you just put them in yourself. It's pretty simple if they break. All right, so they normally either break or they're discolored, look kind of ugly looking, just from, you know, just normal operation, normal usage. All right, so we have the range burner assembly. That's number 9. That's the middle, right? That's about $101.34. Not difficult to do, so you can probably like buy these burner heads if you have issues with them. Just take them out. You can clean them. You can put them in a dishwasher to clean them. You can soak them in a sink, because you want to make sure you clean them, because they get clogged up from stuff being spilled on them, from them being used. So if they're clogged up for any reason, then the gas won't come out and it won't ignite properly. So you got to factor that stuff in. All right, so that's just where we are right now. All right, so let's get it. All right, so yeah, so you just buy the whole entire assembly. Number 10. Oh, so you got the supports left and right that holds the cooktop in position. That's $31.16. All right, so again, if you buy the individual burner, that's number 11. See, if you buy the individual burner themselves, it's $50 for just one. Come on, man. So you just might as well just buy the whole entire thing, number 2, and it's cheaper. It's cheaper that way. Burner heads, they're all $50. Different ones. Console, base, all that stuff. Refrigerator. All right, the vent in the back, number 13. That's $83.39. All right, cool. Control board, man, you're looking at on sale 30% off. That's number 15. Yeah, that's where we are. It's originally $298, so it's about $300 for this control. All right, but you're getting 30% off right now. That, again, I don't know how long the sale is gonna be or whatever, but just to say, if you got to spend $300 for this, labor $150, you're looking at $450. But that's no markup, so you're gonna spend at least $500 or something now, at least. $450, I would say a little bit above $550. If you're getting it for $300, they're gonna mark it up at least possibly to $400. Then the labor $150, so you're looking at $550 there. So parts and labor, so you might be you're gonna pay at least close to $6. All right, anything over $6, I think that's pretty high. So you want to factor that in as well. All right. Alright, so you got range panel, end caps. So that's all this little stuff on the side that holds it in position. Those parts are not that expensive. They shouldn't be either way, you know what I'm saying? So the griddle is $100 for the griddle. Whew. Man, you might want to shop around if you need a new griddle. Or you can purchase it yourself, and then when it comes in, you put it in. Save yourself the money, alright? So the materials they're made of, man, you gotta pay for them joints. Alright, so mostly just Little stuff here, clips, screws. Just want to scroll down and make sure. Main wire harness 8652. That's the wires there. Alright, so you have different things that you might need. The good thing is the parts are available. The number 26, the antenna. I don't know what number 26 is. Okay, so you have an antenna here. Let me see. Alright, that's 8652. Alright, so this is the antenna that you see there. Alright, so that's probably how you connect with the Wi-Fi and everything else, because you got to have some type of Wi-Fi device in there. So that can give you issues, and this is the stuff that you're going to have to factor in now, especially dealing with an appliance that is smart like that. You got to make sure that it's in a proper location where the Wi-Fi is extremely strong. You got to factor that stuff in. You always want to be careful with identity theft as well, because of you know, you're using a smart device. They're smarter now. Sometimes some of them have even cameras in it, depending on the device that you're actually using. So you don't want anybody to try to hack into your appliances, man. So you just want to be careful with that. All right, so that's cool. All right, let's see what else we got. Let's move it. All right, so let's go into the chassis. So this is where the vent is, the convection fans, and all this other stuff. So, all right, so that's that there. So I'm just gonna let you just look at this for a second. Just pause it. Let it sit for a second, just in case you want to evaluate the parts. All right, so we got blower wheels. We got the convection fan. We got lights, different stuff, side panel. Gaskets and all that stuff, the racks. So let's dive into this. Like some of the stuff like flue assembly, that's like number one, dealing with like the vents and all that type of stuff. That stuff don't normally go bad, man, because they're parts. They're not electronical parts. They're just vents. All right, so if you need the range side panel, that's 62 26. Again, those side panels don't normally go bad unless they're dented, stuff like that, man, but that's not a common issue. Range control panel, cooling fan. Again, these appliances are running, even though they're energy efficient, well, you want to make sure that the air is circulating properly and cooling them down. Right, so your control panel has a fan. That's $89.46, roughly about $100, depending on how difficult it is to get to as well. But we're gonna say the part is 100, labor is 150. You're looking at 250. No markup or nothing like that. All right. Your door switch, man, 5174. Not a common issue, but it can break. It can wear out. I've seen them where they short out over the years. The last time I had to replace one was sometime this year. Prior to that, maybe it was sometime last year, right? So not a lot of that is going on. All right, cool. Your racks, $58.75, not that expensive, depending on which one you need. Other rack is $49.08. Originally it's $57, but that's on sale, so about $60 for that, $60 for the racks. So you're gonna be spending $60. The receptacle is for the hinges, so that's $4.21. Depending on how bad your hinges are, it could be your receptacle could be damaged, so they might order the hinges and they might order the receptacle as well. So of course, if they order both those parts, then it's gonna change. All right. Your legs, sensor, oven sensor. All right, so we can dive into that real quick as far as the oven sensor. So the oven sensor, when you're looking at it, man, it's $90.86. This is a common part that does go bad. It might give you an F3 code. It might give you an F30 code. You might have issues with your temperature not fluctuating properly or your food not heating up properly. If you need to purchase an oven sensor, man, it's about $100. If we factor in labor, you're looking at $100 for the part, labor $150, so you're looking at $250. So you're gonna spend more than that. So I'll say between $250 and about $370, $250 and $330, something like that. I wouldn't, $350 I think is a little bit too high for that, but you want to keep that in mind as well. All right, common issue that does go bad. So let's dive back into this joint. So we at the chassis. All right, so let's roll. I'm gonna scroll just to make sure that we got this joint. You got the baffle, man, that stuff doesn't go bad. That's underneath the oven and stuff where the igniter is and the sparks. All right, so range oven door gasket, That's number 21 right there. Number 21, the gasket that goes around. That's normally $85. Over time it wears down. Again, they suggest not to clean it, just leave it alone because it's brittle. So you just want to make sure that you just let it sit and just, you know, if it's ripped up and there's holes in it, that can affect the temperature because your door is not sealing properly, so air might be escaping. So if your air is, or the heat is escaping and it's not really sealed, then it affects the performance of the oven. All right, so that's $85. All right, so we got supply cord, not tripping off of that. Range oven light switch rod, that normally doesn't go bad either. All right, so I'm just looking for common parts. You have your range light socket or light bulb. Again, you can go to Home Depot, Lowe's, Big Lots, Rite Aid, CVS. Get an appliance 40-watt light bulb. As long as it has an appliance on it, you should be fine. Again, be careful when you're inserting the light bulb, because I've had customers over the years, they try to take the old one out or the old light bulb, the filament breaks inside of the socket. And remember, there's 120 volts going through that light bulb, so every time the door is open, it's activated. When you close the door, it's not activated. So you probably want to unplug it for safety, so you won't get zapped, right? And we'll be careful taking it out. All right, so you want to do that. Or you could call professional help once it gets stuck in there, because sometimes it can be difficult to get. But if you're mechanically inclined, you can do whatever you want to do. All right. So you got the range convection fan blade. Man, the blade is that high. That's number 33 right here, the blade. That's $79.16. The blade is not normally that high, but that's fine. The cover, that's a cheap cover. I've seen them over $100 and something. Right. Control board, which is the spark module. Right, depending on which one you have. It says 38 and 39. So let me see if you got both of them in here. This is kind of different. You normally don't have both of these as far as the spark module. All right, so you got 39 right there, and you got 38. So you do have two different spark modules on here. Man, this is why this oven is so expensive. You normally would have one, which is the control board there, but you have this one where it says range spark module. So you have two. So both these parts, one is 170 MSRP, but you're getting 23%, which is 131.60. The other one is 190, and you're getting 8% off, which is 174.18. So you're gonna spend $200 for each one of these, right? So you say 200, labor is 150. You're looking at 350. Between 350 and 450, how much you're gonna spend for the estimate for this joint. But these are parts that typically either can go bad. When your oven is sitting idle and you're not using it, there's times it might spark by itself. You hear the sparking. I'm sure some of us are used to that, dealing with gas ranges. Or when you turn it on, it doesn't, and you switch it from light and you're doing the different settings, or you're turning it on low, it's still sparking. That's another issue there. Or it won't spark at all. So this is a common issue that typically goes bad when you're dealing with gas ranges. The spark modules can go bad. All right, pretty common. All right, so man, so that's cool there. Then of course you have your conversion kits. This is stuff that you should not be familiar with or should be concerned about, because you're gonna need professional help for this one. All right, so that's how it works. So let's dive into that real quick. All right, let's see what else we got in this joint, man. Let's knock this joint out. All right, so now we got the manifold, dealing with all the gas stuff. All right, this is the manifold, dealing with the igniters, spark igniters, surface igniters. All right, so all these, you can see the numbers here, man. Hopefully you guys can see that. Cool. 2, you got the different numbers, individual numbers for what burner you need. If it's the left rear, to my side, right, is my side, left rear, my bad, left rear, or the left front, right rear, or the right front. This is how we face the oven, and this is how we describe it. All right, so it depends on which one you need. If you need a spark module, if you need a whole entire assembly, guys might order the whole entire assembly, because it's a lot easier to just disconnect it and reconnect the new one, because it comes as an assembly. All right, so let's dive into this joint. So we're talking about number 2 as the assembly. So there's different ones. All right, so I'm trying to set this up properly, man, so that we can see this joint really. So one, depending on which one you need, is $38.50. Another one is $38.50. Another one is $77.85. That's the assembly. Another assembly is $38.50, and the other assembly is $112.71. So it all depends on the burner. If it's the one in the center, if it's a big burner. Normally the bigger burners cost a little bit more as far as the orifice holder, because it does more and it's bigger, so it's going to cost you a little bit more. All right, so you also have your electrode clip. I'm not worrying about none of that stuff there. Number 4, this is where we are. Supply tube that allows the gas to go to the gas valve if it's leaking or anything like that. Or I've seen it where the supply tube either has a hole in it or it's not sealing into the gas regulator or the gas valve properly, and it's causing the unit to leak gas. All right, you have your burner switch. That's number 5. Man, just the individual switches, you can get that's $73.19, and that is a common issue that normally goes bad, and it's one assembly too when you're dealing with it, right? So if one side of it will spark and the other side won't spark, it could be some bad switches. There's times when you're cooking and stuff spills over, it gets inside of it and it shorts it out and it starts to burn. So you want to make sure that you're careful when you're cooking as well, and if something spills, you want to wipe it up right away. But it's an assembly, so you got to replace the whole entire switches, and that's $73.19. All right, you have your electrode burner, right? You're looking at that electrode burner, man, that's $25.46, and that's for the left front. All right, so that's the loaded igniters. But like I said, people order those as an assembly, so you're gonna get all of that together. It's best to get the whole thing, but depending on how old your oven is, it's hard to get those igniters off, because they either weld themselves to the burner assembly because you've been cooking for so long and they're corroded, and that little screw does not come out. All right, so that's a pretty decent issue that goes bad all the time. If you need the gas manifold with the switches, this whole entire assembly is $126.34. Not a common issue for the whole entire manifold, but since the switches are connected to it, I know the switches are a common issue, but the manifold is not. But you know, I've replaced one this year where I had to replace the whole entire thing because of it was leaking gas. All right, so we did that and got that squared away. The valve is number 8. What valve is that? Burner valve. Okay, so if you see, look at this. If you buy the individual valves, it's $101.81 for each individual valve. That's number 8, right? So you see that there, individual valves. But if you buy the whole assembly, it's $120 something. So you might as well just buy the whole assembly. It's so much cheaper, even though you can just replace that one. So that's probably why normally it takes do it. It's easier to replace that one, but it's more cost effective to just replace the whole thing. All right, so you're looking at $101.81. You got a mountain bracket, boiler burner, which is number 10. All right, that's probably the broiler up top. That's the whole burner there. Then you have the bake burner. These normally don't go bad on this particular model, but if you need it, you can purchase it. Not a common issue for that to burn out. But these igniters are, though. That's a common issue. These spark igniters wear down when the oven does not light. So number 13 is for the broiler. No, that's the bake. Number 13 is the bake, and number 16 I think is the broil. So that's $47.21. So you're gonna spend $100 for this part. Labor $150. You're gonna probably spend between $250 and about $300 to repair this unit. Gas valve assembly regulator. That's number 12. That comes in assembly. That is a common issue on this particular one. There's times when the upper will probably spark and come on, and the bottom would not, because it's not releasing gas. The solenoid is stuck. So I've replaced a few of these over the years. You're looking at $190 MSRP, 35% off with the sale. You're looking at $122. All right, so that's what you have there. All right, so $200 if you want to do an example for that. $200 for the part, $150 for the labor. So you're looking at about $350. So between $350 and $450, man. So this is going to cost you. Gas tubing, that's number 14. That's whole entire tubing. Man, that tubing is $125. And that's, man, okay, all right, and that's a little high for a tubing, but either way. The broiler is $61.63. The broiler one doesn't normally go bad. It's always the bake, because most people bake more than they broil. All right, so you got to keep that in mind. But if you need that igniter, that is a common, I would say it's a common part because it's an igniter. right? So if you use the broiler a lot, it's gonna burn out. So it is a common issue. But normally the broilers do last longer than the bake though, because we do a lot more baking. All right, the baffle, all that stuff, easy stuff there, man. So, man, I think that's mostly it, man. I think this wraps up the parts. I'm gonna check real quick. Again, you can always pause, check these joints out, man. This is the parts portion for the Whirlpool gas sliding range, man. You already know what time it is, man. It's your boy, Richie Rich. And we're gonna dive into the next joint, man. Peace. All right, so we are at the final points, man, for this Whirlpool gas range. So this is our review portion of the video. Our overall review to let you know exactly how we feel about this particular range. All right, let's start off with the warranty. Let me get my notes as always. Warranty, 1 year manufacturer warranty. All right, so from looking at this particular range, that's all you're getting as far as the manufacturer warranty. Both parts and labor, nothing additional, nothing more, nothing less. That's all, folks. That's all you're getting. But from doing some research from just other gas ranges, other brands, this is common and this is typical for a gas range for you to get a 1 year manufacturer warranty. And in that case, that's why we're going to give it a 3. Uno, dos, tres. 3. That's all you're getting. All right, so let's move on from that. Let's talk about price. How much it's going to cost you? Might cost you a little, might cost you a lot. Either way, it's gonna cost you. All right, so for this price, you're looking at about $1,800. When we first did this video, I would say between $1,900 roughly. From $19 to about $2,400 to $2,500, depending on taxes and everything else. At the point that we shot this video, it was on sale to a certain point. When we looked at it recently to finish up the video, after everything that we're doing, it went back up to about $2,100 to about $2,200. They do have open boxes where I've seen in certain areas where you can get it for about $1,200 or $1,100. Man, if you're getting this oven for that price, that's a steal. I would grab it if I was you. So you just want to put in your zip code. You probably can call different places to check to see if they have it, if you really like it or whatever, to get a better price. So as far as the price that we see and compare it to different appliances, looking at a GE, looking at a looking at an LG, this price is a little bit cheaper, but again, on average, you're looking at about $2,000. It went up, so our mindset has to change. So right now, the grade, we're giving it a trace or 3 because it's an average price for this particular gas range. With everything that you're getting on it, this is a common price. All right, let's talk about parts, man. For gas ranges, typically parts that goes bad, let's start off with the oven. You have your bake igniter. That bake igniter, which is the bake or the broil. The bake one is the one that goes or has a lot of issues more commonly than the broiler, because most people don't broil. They do a lot of baking. So that's the one that wears out the most. So that's pretty common for the bake or broil element to either go out or not come on, or have issues where you have to call a service company. The surface igniters on tops, they can wear out and not ignite properly, so you have to light them manually with a match. That's pretty common there as well. The control board or touchpad, I wouldn't say that's a common issue for this particular one. Control boards are pretty sturdy. Really haven't had a lot of issues with this particular unit at all when we're talking about the controls. Glass doors crack or break, that's an issue that can happen as well. But outside of that, when you're dealing with gas ranges, man, the prices are extremely affordable, so we like it. So as far as the price, we're going to give it a 4 because we really like the price on this particular unit. It's not that expensive. I'm sorry, the parts. It's not that expensive when you're dealing with repairing parts for this particular unit. Let's go to my favorite part. Functions and the features. Woo! You talking about a fully loaded stove. Loving one, and let's start off in the oven. You got your bacon, your broil. Loving bacon, loving broiling. Then you have your convection bake, convection roast. Loving that joint that you have there as well. You have, it's a self-cleaning, but it's also a steam clean that they have on this unit. You can do that. We love that as well as far as the technology that they use for that. Of course, you have your burners. You have your left side burners, your right side burners, and then you have the bridge that's in the middle. We love the bridge that's in the middle that allows you to flip your pancakes over if you want to do that. You can fry bacon on it. They give you the griddle or the pan that goes over top of that as well. We love that function and love that feature on it as well. As far as the technology, with allowing you to preheat rapidly, right? Or you have your frozen foods that you can just put in there automatically, and it's preset. So if you want to preset or heat up pizza, you don't have to preheat it. If you got French fries, you can just stick it in there and just select the French fries. Everything is automatically preheated. It's connected to Alexa, where you can do voice command. You can download an app, remote start the oven, communicate back and forth with it like that. We love that function. We love that feature on the unit. It's touchscreen, loving that. And I love the pictures when you're sliding the temperature over, you hit start, you see the little flames on it as well. So we like the animation and everything that they're doing with this particular oven, man. We love the functions and features. You know we're gonna give it our top grade, man. So this one is fully loaded, so we're gonna give it a 5. All right, so let's go over everything that we just discussed a few minutes ago. Warranty is a 3, price 3, parts 4, functions and features, we give it a 5. Our overall point scale is a 15 divided by 4. So your grade on this particular Whirlpool gas range is a 3.75. All right, so the only thing that probably could have changed on this particular unit is either the warranty or the price. All right, so if the price was about $1,800, we probably would have bumped it to about a 1. The price has changed because that was on a sale. So originally, it's not that price. You're looking at about $2 grand for this particular unit right now, and that's why the grade is what it is. So unfortunately, Whirlpool, we cannot recommend this appliance. This is not one of the top appliances we'll talk about, but we love some of the stuff, the functions and features that comes with it. All right, of course, you already know what time it is. It's me, your boy Richie Rich, at Consumer Appliance Support. You help me, I help you. We both help each other. Till next time, it's me, your boy. Gotta let you know, baby. We out of here, man. Peace.
I can't let you go, baby. I just wanna tell you that. No. Yeah. All of my friends say, girl, you better take care. 'Cause that man is trouble, you best beware. And though deep down, I know I might be headed for teardrops.